all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
a
convinced
bullseye
to
across
enter
the
long
street.
trade.
Good morning, everybody. Going to do a quickie video before I travel all day, and we're still watching the dump. We now have some FUD news, and as technical traders, we often look at indicators and we can see when things are getting more extended than normal, and that's our signal to be looking for news. And it took a little bit longer to come out than usual, but this morning, interesting timing. I mean, just speculation alone from me, but we had the bounce on the 4-hour time frame. So 4-hour time frame last night had a bounce. We saw the price go from 7,433 up to 7,734, solid bounce, and then out of nowhere at 4 in the morning, and really the dump started to precede this article coming out. But U.S. launches criminal probe into Bitcoin price manipulation. In my opinion, this is bullish news. It's very interesting to see that the bullish news, looking longer term, gets negatively reacted to short term. And it's like this space fears regulation, which is fine. You want to be decentralized and deregulated. But if you are trading or investing in this space, you want this to happen. You want there to be some kind of limitation on the ability of whales to do whatever they want with the price. Because as we've been watching the last 12 plus months, the price has been insanely volatile, and that is because people are spoofing and people are wash trading back and forth to give false volume, dumping key price levels before breaking out, and vice versa. So bottom line is you want to see this regulation occur if you don't want to just be, a leaf in the wind is what I referred to it in an earlier video, or let's say a little plankton in the tides of the ocean, and the tides of the ocean being controlled by the whales who have free reign to do whatever they want. That's basically just you giving them your money and saying, I hope you make it go up if you're investing in this space. So it is bullish overall, in my opinion, in terms of control. The jurisdiction that the U.S. would have here would be just in any transactions that occur in the U.S. So it really affects the U.S. markets only, or I should say most significantly. And it's a reason that many exchanges don't want U.S. customers, so they don't have to deal with the SEC or this new, it's the Justice Department. So the timing of the news article comes out at 4 a.m. Eastern. Interesting timing. Of course, they name sources that are not named, unnamed sources. But look at what happened here. Ooh, nice move right there. So a nice recovery. And there's a fake out, a break of the low, and then, of course, a big time bounce. But what we have here is, look at the dump. This is the 15-minute time frame. So 3 in the morning, I'm talking Eastern time. And by the way, right now it is 8:50 Eastern in the morning. So we have a dump at the bear volume, and bear dump starts coming in at 3:30, 3:45, 4 a.m. Then the article hits. So clearly, look at the volume just show up. In my opinion, that's not a coincidence, but in my opinion, when news is not breaking news that the world finds out about at the same time from multiple sources, this is from one source, and in my opinion, it is always orchestrated in terms of timing. If a company or a source can choose when the news comes out, they could have posted this at 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. It, in my opinion, is never just random timing. So either way, what we're watching for now is still, again, 4-hour oversold RSI. We dropped down. Now we're seeing a big bullish reversal 4-hour candlestick. Maybe that was a climax to be watching for. A lot of people are waiting for the daily RSI level to get oversold, and that's a more cautious way to do it. So you look at the daily RSI, and currently it was just down at 31 this morning. Now it's at 33.6. So we are seeing a little bit of a recovery. The odds of a bullish reversal candlestick today are pretty good, but again, it's the details that matter. We need to see a 4-hour higher low and higher high to be convinced that the bottom is in for now. And look at the hourly, again, the hourly exponential moving averages. We got over one of them with the equilibrium bull break last night, but couldn't get over the second one. We need to get over these hourly exponential moving averages for the bulls. We need to see a bull cross of those moving averages. The bears definitely have been running away with things, so congrats to the bears. They've definitely had huge gains. Bears will likely still continue to try and play this trend in terms of looking, we have our lower high now. This bounce last night gave us very clear resistances to be watching. So for Bitcoin, it is 7,735. And anything under that is just another lower high. So shorts will be looking to enter for a potential lower high. Maybe they'll have to cover if we break the hourly lower high pattern. But there is definitely opportunity in both directions. And we have some pretty solid bull volume right now in this hourly candlestick that's about to close. The question is, can we get an hourly higher low and higher high? And if we can, we then have to zoom out to the 4-hour time frame. That's exactly what we did last night. So last night we got the hourly higher low and higher high. As soon as that happened, we zoom out to the 4-hour time frame and we say, okay, we got a bounce going, but we know this bounce is just going to set a 4-hour lower high. And in order for the bounce to see continuation, we then have to see a higher low and a higher high on the 4-hour time frame. So what we're looking for on any bounce is a higher low and a higher high. And obviously last night we didn't get that. It ended up being a 4-hour bear flag thanks to that news coming out to help push the price down. Bullish divergence on the RSI, and bullish divergence is when the price drops to a lower low, but the RSI does not. So you can see the RSI forming a higher low and a higher high while the price dropped to a lower high and lower low. So that is a divergence that some traders look out for. It's something I keep an eye on. I don't put a ton of sentiment or a ton of weight of my trades into it, but that is something that I do keep an eye out for. So I'm still playing the same game of selling bounces and reloading cheaper, where last night I had sell orders placed in the 595s, 2 in the 590s, and 1 at 604. Just missed another one up at 609 on Ethereum. And then once we dropped down to lower lows, I had buy orders at 555 and 547, and those both filled. So again, it's just continuing to drop the cost basis. It's continuing to sell on the bounces and add on the lower lows. And then once the real bounce gets going, and once we get a 4-hour higher low and higher high, should see that trade very quickly get back into break even or in the green. So still just managing the trade and patiently waiting. And I am not going to stop myself out with the Bitcoin 4-hour RSI down at 20. But again, we have to keep in mind that every little bounce we see, the RSI cools off that can lead to another leg down. So that is always a possibility as long as we're seeing lower highs on the 4-hour time frame. So the most important thing I'm watching today, exponential resistance, which we are currently battling right now on the hourly time frame. Key resistance, the high of the bounce last night. Bulls would love to break that level today, and that would be significant. And those are the two main things that I'm watching for. And of course, our low of support. If we break down to a lower low and break 7,269, we'll probably head down to 7,000 psychological, and we'll look for the potential of a volume climax breaking that support level and giving us daily oversold conditions. Doesn't mean we have to head down there, but that's where a bunch of traders are looking. And in terms of the weekly equilibrium, I made my mind up this morning and I said, all right, I'll give it a 60-40 that we're going to break bearish now. Because remember, the middle of this equilibrium was 8,200. So at 8,200, we can say maybe a slight advantage to the bulls due to the preceding trend overall. But the further we drop below 8,200, the closer we are to a bear break versus a bull break. So the odds then shift to favor the bears a little bit more. Because right now, to see a bear break, we need a $1,000 drop. And to see a bull break, we need a $2,500 bull move. So I said 60-40, and then we have some people on Twitter, and I forget the name off the top of my head is being lost. Definitely want to give them some credit. So it was Peter Brandt. Peter Brandt said he gives it 65-35, and that was right after I made up my mind for 60-40, so pretty in line there. Another news, Singapore warrants 8 exchanges over unregistered securities trading. That came out fairly recently this morning. That's not 7 minutes ago at this point. It's more like an hour ago. But again, the FUD news articles, no surprise. And you can just watch, if you've been watching, Twitter and watching the sentiment on this space, which I have a good gauge of just by watching YouTube comments and Twitter comments and all that stuff, it's crazy how these emotions, it makes perfect sense, but they are so subject to the price action. When we were up here 3 weeks ago, everybody was looking for a bull break of 11,700 and continuation. Now that we're pulling back, everybody's looking for a bear break of 6,450. So it's really just continuing to tighten in the equilibrium pattern. I do absolutely still believe we are going to form a higher low. In order for a bear scenario to play out, in my opinion, we're going to have to form a higher low, a lower high, and then a bear break. So in my opinion, we're not going to break this equilibrium pattern until 3 weeks at the soonest, unless some major more FUD news comes in here. So that's where we stand on Bitcoin and the general setup. In terms of everybody else, again, Ethereum, the odds of a bullish reversal candlestick are not too bad today. This is a bullish reversal candlestick right now. So if we close here or better, it's a bullish reversal doji on the daily. But we know we need the details, so the 4-hour time frame needs to see a higher low and a higher high for us to be convinced. We have a new resistance level to be watching, 609.21. Our new support is the low, and we're forming a 4-hour inside bar, but there's a long way to go. 3 hours left, so that may not be the case here. Bulls have their move going right now in response to that Bitcoin bounce. Exponential resistance on the hourly being tested, and the question is, can we break the high of yesterday? That would be very significant. The high of the bounce yesterday, I should say. Again, very significant for a trend change if that were to be able to play out. And let's just check back in on Bitcoin as things are picking up a little bit here. So nice follow through for the Bitcoin bulls. Again, the volume is there, this hourly candlestick, and we will see how significant this morning run goes. Litecoin, daily time frame, bullish reversal candlestick. Have to hold it up. We got a long way to go. We got 10 more hours, 9 more hours. 4-hour time frame. Resistance is the high of the bounce attempt yesterday. That's up at 123. And we also formed another resistance at 122. So a couple of resistances there. We've got support down at the low of 115.11. And shorter term time frame, exponential resistance being tested on the hourly. Need to turn those into support and need to see the bull cross of the 12 period over the 26 period to the upside on these names, on all of them, in order to change sentiment and to be convinced. If we give me the 4-hour higher low and higher high, and I'm convinced that our daily level is set, and then we will see a bounce and set a lower high compared to the last daily lower high. And again, we'll be watching the exponential resistance. So if it's starting to click for you, and if it's not, stick with it, because I get messages on YouTube, hey, I've been watching your videos for 3 months, and the first month I didn't understand any of it, and now it's all beginning to click. So it's just repetition, like anything. Learning your times tables and all that in elementary school was just repetition. So you look for the trend change on the 5-minute time frame if you want to zoom in that much. Then you look for it on the 15-minute. Then you zoom out to the hourly for a higher low and a higher high. Then you zoom out to the 4-hour for a higher low and a higher high. It's all the same thing, just on different time frames. So if we get an hourly higher low and higher high and get over exponential 12 and 26 period resistance, we go to the 4-hour time frame. We look for the same thing. We need a higher low and a higher high, and to get over exponential resistance. If that follows through, we go to the daily, and we say the daily needs a higher low and a higher high, and to get over exponential resistance, which has rejected the last 2 bounce attempts. So it's just fractals and fractals in terms of whether you're zooming out or zooming in, but it's all the same price action that we're looking for to indicate trend changes, and it's all very exciting. So that's where we stand. The FUD news has been released, and the question is there any more out there? And I certainly wouldn't put it past any more coming out, but this is a decent start to the morning, and we'll see if the bulls can shift this momentum and get a bounce on the daily time frame and cool off these 4-hour RSIs a little bit more significantly. I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a good rest of your morning, and I will be back tomorrow. Again, these videos are going to be all random timing. I've never done a video at this time, but tomorrow morning, probably around the same time, so I'll see you then.